Hey, how are you doing today? First and foremost, thank you very much for watching. I know your time is valuable. I'll try to give you something good out of it. My name is Dave. This is going to be a Best Dual Sport Bikes only one. This is of course, my 500 EXC 24. What I did here, just to let you know, is lowered the rear suspension a ½ inch, and I wanted to see how that worked. So I talked to my friend Rob Kosler that owns the Motolab LLC. He's in Tennessee, and he used to work with me a lot building race engines for these little carts for the Lucas off-road championship stuff. But he was always a suspension guy, real smart. Always a suspension guy though, and really just kind of wanted to go off and do his own thing. And since I was heavily involved with the EXCs back since they first came out, 2012, early on, he started getting into lowering the suspension on the bikes, because a lot of guys that ride these bikes, you know, they're smaller like me, and it's a little bit harder to touch the ground sometimes. So older bikes, man, they'd get dropped quite a bit. This bike here though, I called him up and I said, what do you think about lowering this thing? And he said, I don't know about that one. You know, the geometry on the bike's pretty good. I don't know if it should really be lowered. I said, well, let's just give it a shot, ½ inch in the rear. Because personally, I like bikes that are choppered out. I can kind of control the front with the height of the forks that way, but like it to go faster through the desert. I kind of like a choppered, more stability kind of thing. It doesn't affect my turning personally, because I'm usually getting some clutch and sliding with the rear wheel and coming back out. That's just how I ride, and I just ride for fun anyhow. So keeping that stuff in mind, he did his magic to the shock. He also did his magic to the forks, because in the reality, you know, we want these things as plush as possible. But yeah, let's go riding a little bit and check this baby out. I'm running 105 on the sag. It's using the stock spring because I'm in that range. And even though I'm on a higher piece of ground, when I was flat, I could get both my feet are on the ground. But when it was really flat, then I could easily touch, which I thought was nice. This kind of stuff here was relatively smooth and flowy. It's spectacular. I like the choppered out thing. The only thing that really holds you back at this point is traction on this 500, kind of going too fast between turns, and honestly not knowing if somebody's coming the other way. But yeah, awesome on this stuff. Now I'm gonna go smashing into these little water barriers. They're all a few inches high and they're not moving. So that's a pretty good idea of what's happening with my suspension. So where does that leave us in the grand scheme of suspension? Well, out of everything I've tried, this is my favorite setup by far. Very confidence inspiring. I love the choppered feel. I like the little bit lower back for how I ride. Very stable. I got a few kicks out there on some logs embedded in the ground, some of these tree roots that I did not expect. I haven't been out here for quite a while, so I kind of forgot where I'm going and what it's like, but the train's always changing, obviously. Yep, and it handled everything really good, even those little funny log step ups. I think you could hit those noticeably faster, but hey, I'm not out to crash. You probably want to see me crash, but I don't want to see me crash. I put the clickers back to where they came. I played with stuff. I was due, and it went back to where it came. So that's a sign that he knew what he was doing. I also paid for it, full price. I always pay for everything. I don't want to owe anybody anything, but it's good enough to where it's good to pass. It was definitely worth it to pass on the power bundle thing that we do in the ECU reprogramming. One more time, but boy, that sure is dialed in. Everything you saw, that was just third gear. It's a tractor, it'll pull. You don't worry about flaming out. You don't have to shift much. That's really nice. Little clutch control, but all third gear. Very, very rideable. Idle's fantastic. Very rideable, very smooth. But when you get on it, hold on. So yeah, for the small amount of money, keep that in mind. Suspension, realistically, both sides, about $1,000. With the shipping, the suspension's not $1,000, but you got to get a gun case, then you got to pay to get it shipped over there. So figure that. All the stuff I do, you know, maybe there with the battery and so forth and the power bundle thing. But it's a hell of a bike. Boy, I'll tell you what, for that little bit of money added to it. Okay, I hope you have a fantastic day. I get to go riding again all day Sunday. I was going to take the 300, but this is so good, I'm just going to leave this thing in the van. Have a great day. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. We'll talk soon.